Here are your video notes on the kingdom Protista. So this is our most diverse kingdom. It's in the eukaryotic domain, so the domain Eukarya, kingdom Protista. So oftentimes this is what we call the left out kingdom because they are relatively simple eukaryotic cells. So the common characteristics are that they have eukaryotic cells, they have no complex organ systems, and they do not reproduce by forming embryos. So those are some common characteristics of protists. And there are three types of protists: animal-like protists, plant-like protists, and fungus-like protists. The animal-like protists we call protozoans, and protozoans are heterotrophic. So we know that heterotrophic means you must consume other organisms or dead organic material for food. And protozoans are grouped by how they move. So there's an amoeba, and this uses a pseudopod or a false foot. So pseudo means false, pod means foot. So pseudopod or false foot. There's a flagellate, so it uses flagella, 1 to 4 long tail-like structures. Ciliates, so these guys use cilia, the small hair surrounding the cell, if you remember from our bacteria unit. And sporozoans, so these are non-motile and usually a parasitic type protozoan. Here's an example. So here's our amoeba. These guys don't really have a way to move. They're kind of just, they move like a blob, if you will. Here's our flagella or flagellate. There's our little flagella coming off right there. There's our ciliates, so you can kind of see the little hair-like structures off along there. And here are our sporozoans. Animal-like diseases that can be caused by these protists, so malaria, so the vector is a mosquito, so malaria is spread by mosquitoes. Sleeping sickness, so tsetse fly. Giardia and dysentery you can both get from standing water. So that's why it's always really important to make sure that you're not drinking anything like any stagnant water, and you're also not letting your animals drink stagnant water, because oftentimes they will have these protists in there which could cause disease. Plant-like protists, or algae. Algae is what we call plant-like protists, and these can be heterotrophic or autotrophic. There are two types of plant-like protists. There are unicellular plant-like protists, or unicellular algae. These are dinoflagellates, diatoms, and euglenoids. I'm terrible at saying that word. And then there's also multicellular algae, and so that's our green, brown, and red algae. Unicellular protists are characterized by their outer covering and their means of movement. So dinoflagellates are mostly found in salt water, and these guys cause the red tide. These guys cause a red tide, which is not great for the organisms in that environment. Diatoms are protists that have a glass-like cell wall, and they're the most abundant organisms in the ocean. I think these guys are the ones that look the coolest because they look like they're kind of almost fake, just with the structure that is involved with them. So these are our diatoms. Euglenoids, so these lack a rigid cell wall. They have 2 flagella, so if you can kind of see off the end of this one shows it a little bit better. And then many have chloroplasts that are photosynthetic. And that's why these are green, because then you can see that they are photosynthetic. They have chloroplasts. Algae, so multicellular and some unicellular, so they are photosynthetic, and they are categorized by their pigment. Most are found in fresh water and damp soil, so most green algae are found in fresh water and damp soil. So here's some cool pictures of green algae. Red algae, mostly found in warm saltwater habitats, so there's our red algae pictures. And brown algae, most are found in cool saltwater habitats. So there's our brown algae. Fungus-like protists, this is another type of protist. So these are our slime and water molds. They form a network and can move slowly, and these are our decomposing group of the protists. So these guys help decompose organisms. So here's some cool pictures of slime and water molds, and those are definitely living things, which is crazy to think about. So here's our review. So a very quick set of notes on protists, but these would be good ideas to write on those Cornell notes. Like, these are some excellent questions that you could ask yourself and ask on the side of those Cornell notes. Okay, there's your Protist Notes.